Hi, well, welcome to part one of my Whiteacres blog. I'm actually on Porth at the moment, set up a bit early, so I thought it was a good chance to do a bit of a blog. Week's going alright. I've had 3 draws, which have given me a chance to win the section, or certainly do well in the section, which is all you can ask for really when you come to Whiteacres. There's a lot of pegs at Whiteacres where you are going to struggle to win the section. You're probably even going to struggle to come in the top half of your section. That's sometimes how your week goes, but this week, so far, it's been alright. First day I was on peg 36 on Pt1. It's not a peg that you usually fancy, but the day before I'd walked around that area of the lake and there were a lot of carp moving. So when I got to the peg I was confident, so it was a good draw. Like I said, when you draw the peg, a lot of people say, oh, that's not so good, but I knew because I'd walked around and had a look that there was going to be a few carp there. That peg's interesting because actually when you ship your pole out, about 16 metres, you can just about get into the shallow water, about a metre off the far bank. It was about 3 foot deep. I really fancied it for an odd carp there. Because it narrows up, it doesn't tend to be so many skimmers and that down the arms, but you can catch perch, roach, F1s, barbel down the edge on casters or maybe even meat. So that was going to be a backup plan. I did feed a line out into open water for skimmers, but didn't feel like that was going to be any good there where I was. And also long down the edge, I could reach the next platform, looked good for maybe a carp later on. Started the match on bread, went across on a piece of bread, dobbed a piece of bread about for about 15 minutes. It's not a method I particularly enjoy. I don't feel you're actually doing anything to attract any fish into your peg. But I didn't catch anything, I never had a bite. So after 15 minutes I shipped out with my big pot and I put sort of 10 pieces of 8mm meat in my big pot and just tapped them out on where I fancied the best chance to get a fish. It was very blustery, but the island was sheltering my pole a little bit, so I could hold 16 metres, not very easily, but I could hold it. Went across, caught a carp straight away. It was a really big fish, a big mirror, about 12 pounds. So that was a great start once I'd fed that line. And I caught there for probably 2 hours, steady away. But I had a bit of a disaster because it was really, really windy and my hands were covered in meat and I was sort of juddering the pole all the time. What's happened is my 6th and my 7th sections have come apart when I hooked a carp and it's gone straight into the lake. It's gone through the peg and I couldn't get it back. I tried getting it back with a bomb. A proper disaster. Something that has never happened to me before, but obviously now it's on my list of things that I've achieved. Anyway, unfortunately I lost that fish and my top 6 and the peg went completely dead for about an hour. Came down the edge, caught a few big perch, caught a few roach, kept putting something in the net, and then I went back out later on and I caught 3 or 4 barbel and then 2 carp right at the death again on that long pole. So I felt I'd salvaged a bit of pride. So I finished with 12 carp and 12 carp, a couple of barbel and a few other fish for £84 exactly, £84. And that was enough to win the section and come 3rd on the lake. So a great start. It's all about winning sections. Winning sections is what gives you the points to win the festival. So that was a great start. And then on the second day, I was on Tray Waters, peg 49, which unbelievably I've been on for the last 2 festivals. You can hear it, Paul, for all the birds here if you're making a racket. Anyway, 49, I didn't fancy it much. Tray Water's not really been fished that much, wasn't really fishing too well. So what I decided to do was I thought I need to have a line to catch everything, just keep putting something in the net. So I fed some casters in on a short line around about 6 metres, been doing that a lot of Lindome. Those who've been following the blogs know I've been doing that a lot of Lindome. So I fed that at 6 metres and then I looked across, I could just about, again it was about 17 metres, but the wind was tricky, so I decided to get a 1.5 gram rig and swing it across to the island, because that's where those fish live. They want to be across there, the islands. So either bread, maggots, bit of meat, something like that, swing it in the danger zone and try and catch a few carp. It was an interesting day, snuck a few carp early, didn't really catch anything for about 20 minutes, felt I needed to go on the casters. I caught a few roach and then it went dead. Now for me, when you're catching roach and it goes dead, something's moved in your peg, and that was the case. Skimmers had moved in, pounders, great fish to catch on a match like that, and I just kept putting something in the net, steady away, cast a single maggot, feeding regularly, light rigs, light elastic, 5 elastic, very light for Whiteacres, but I kept catching fish, kept putting something in the net, and then the last hour I managed another 4 or 5 carp across. So in my carp net I had £20, and in my skimmers net I had 29.14, so I weighed £49 14 ounces, which I was absolutely over the moon with, because it was enough to win the section. 2 days, 2 section wins, great start. Really happy with that performance. There was 2 other 40-pound weights. Maybe if I hadn't have gone for those skimmers, it wouldn't have worked out as well. So one of those, it was a peg that gave me the chance to win the section again. So, you know, that was a good day. Then yesterday I was on Trelawney, peg 22. So far there was 5 people or 6 people with 2 section wins, so I really wanted to try and get a third. That would have been great. 22 isn't the best peg on Trelawney. If the wind's right, it can be a good peg. It can certainly be a good peg, but the wind was sort of like in my face a little bit, so it was sheltering the island. So all the water in front of me was just flat calm, and then away round to my left, the water was rippling, and that's where all the carp were. You can tell where the carp are, they move, they tell you where they are. I thought, well, if there isn't many carp here, I'm going to have to just try and catch everything again. I've had my caster line, I've had a meat line at 6 metres, and a bomb line and a feeder line across just to keep trying putting something in the net. Very similar day to the day before. 2 small carp, sort of 3 pound or so early across on bomb and bread. And then I've come in on the casters. I've had a great hour on casters, probably put 15 pound of roach in my net. I thought, well, nobody's really catching, just keep putting something in the net. Then I noticed the odd fish were being caught. Carp down to my left and odd fish were being caught. So I went on my meat line and I caught F1s, really steady. Not bagged, but just steady, and they're pound to 2 pound F1s. So I just kept putting something in the net. Paul Yates was fishing a fantastic match down from me, but catching a lot of carp. There wasn't the carp there. He was fishing very similar to me with meat. I would have caught carp had they have been there. So because they weren't, I just had to keep going and hopefully catch a few right at the death. That's what I've done. I've kept putting fish in the net, probably had 60 pound with 15 minutes to go. And then I've gone down the edge and I've had 4 big carp for a 20, I probably had 60, 65 pound with 15 minutes to go. 4 big carp for over 20 pound, and I've weighed 86 pound, which was enough for second in my section. Paul Yates has had 94 pound. He fished a great match, probably had a dozen carp. That was the difference. I didn't have those carp to go in. I was amazed. I really didn't feel I was only 8 pound behind, but this goes to show maybe 1 extra carp more. I had tried the margin earlier, but hadn't shown any fish, but 1 extra carp, I might have even won the section. So I can't say it was a peg that definitely would have won the section, but you never know. With that bit of rub, maybe I would have had a section win from there. But that was definitely a match that I felt that I did fish a good match. I'm always willing to say if I haven't fished the right match, or I felt I could have changed things a little bit, but there I definitely felt I fished the right match. So we're on Porth today, peg 74. Good anglers in the section as always, good anglers on the lake. Wind's nice, looks like it might rain a little bit. Hopefully I'm going to try and catch some roach. I think it'll be a roach day today. Hopefully, if I can catch enough to win the section, 3 section wins in the second would be fantastic. But at Porth, you never know. Let's see what happens.